honestly, there are so many women out there who spend decades in relationships and marriages that they should never have been in the first place, and that they feel so entrenched in, they cannot see a way to get out. And so, you know, I'm very public about how I live my life because we don't have enough role models
Yeah.
that demonstrate there is another way, and we so badly need them. And so again, you know, there absolutely are people who feel like you and I do, but they may find it difficult to, stand up and be role models, because everybody around them thinks something different.
Totally. God, you make so much sense. I just want to pick up on what you said about, how many people are, because let's face it, there are many, many, many people in relationships out there who are fucking miserable.
Yep.
And do you know, it pains me. It literally pains me. And when you mentioned just now about like working on relationships, it's so funny because I have another podcast called Three Single Women, which I do with two friends of mine who are also single and, very happily single and childfree and very happily so. And we were literally doing a recording on Monday, having a conversation about this exact thing. And I was saying how the question is, how hard are you supposed to work on a relationship? Like, where is the end? I mean,
Oh my
honestly, are
God.
we supposed to just carry on working and working and working? Like, we wouldn't do it with a friendship. If a friendship wasn't working, we would just
Yep.
let it go. But when it comes
Yep.
to romantic relationships, we feel like we just have to work on them ad nauseum, particularly when there are kids involved. And that's another thing that we were talking about. How one of the things that I said is that I've never agreed that it's always best to stay together for the sake of the kids. I actually think the
Mm.
opposite in most
Yep.
cases.
Yep.
Um,
No, absolutely, because um, you want to model for your children how they can live happy lives. And staying in an unhappy marriage, an unhappy relationship where and kids always know more than you give them credit for. They
yeah.
absolutely see things you don't think they see. That is not the way to role model for your children how they can live happy, empowered, independent lives themselves.
Cindy, one of the many things that I absolutely bloody love about you is the fact that and I'm not just saying this, of everybody that I can think of, you really are the one person who is living a life that is truly authentic. Now, I'm trying to live an authentic life, but I'm not where you are yet, just in the way that, the things that I talk about and, I still hold back and all of this stuff. And it's so ironic to me that the hardest thing for human beings to do is to be themselves. How did you get to this place of just being totally yourself? And the other thing I really want to talk about is not giving a shit what other people think, because I think, or rather the fear of what other people think. It's one of my favorite topics, but we'll get onto that. But first of all, how have you learned to be so damn authentic, like truly authentic in every
Well,
way?
well, first of all, 65 years of life. But obviously I want to help shortcut that process for other people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm a big fan of radical simplicity. I like to keep things very simple. And the answer to what you're asking is extremely simple. Um, what I recommend to everybody, if they have never done this exercise, is take a long, hard look inside yourself and identify what you stand for, what you believe in, what you value, what you're all about. Because, first of all, that makes life so much simpler. Life still throws at you all the shit it always will, but you know exactly how to respond to that shit in any given situation in a way that is true to you. And that is the secret of happiness. Living your life and working your work according to your values. And then, when you have that really strong sense of what you stand for, you don't give a damn what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
Because all that matters is that you are living and working your values and that everything you do is true to you. Why would you care what anybody else thought
Yeah.
when what matters to you is what you think,
Yeah.
and that will be true to yourself.
I am constantly baffled as to why the many, many benefits of being single are completely ignored or just not understood. And again, this is something I talk about a lot because it blows my mind how we're not talking about the wonderful things about being single. What are your thoughts on this, and what are those amazing things for you?
Sure. So I've regularly talked about the fact that for me, one of the best things about being single, living on my own, is the ability to operate a completely erratic and highly eccentric eating schedule. So basically, I can eat whenever I want, and the reason that that matters to me is because I'm somebody who, I don't eat breakfast. I can't face food first thing in the morning. I've got to have coffee, but I really don't eat anything first thing in the morning, which means I'm then extremely hungry mid morning. So I don't have to like wait till lunch. I can then eat like whatever I want to at that point. Then I might not be hungry again until late afternoon, and I like eating early. Basically, I don't have to conform to a partner or children's mealtime schedules. Hello, fucking Luya. And then secondly, this is also a huge benefit because I bloody hate cooking. I adore eating. I hate cooking. I never do it. And I'm lucky enough to. I live in Midtown Manhattan, where there are so many like ready-to-eat food choices, within walking distance or orderable or whatever. I don't have to like put meals together for anybody else, and I like eating very odd things. And so I can eat utterly ludicrous things at
Like
whatever time.
what?
Yeah. Well, so I'm a huge fan of anchovies. Okay.
Okay.
I just love anchovies. So, I will, I'll put anchovies on anything. And one of my favorite snacks is, I have a ton of like frozen parathas, sort of like Indian flatbreads in my freezer. And I like those because they're really easy to cook. You just put them in a frying pan, 1 minute either side. And then I'll put a ton of anchovies. It's kind of like a pizza with no tomato and cheese, but just anchovies. And I'm sure that would horrify other people, but I absolutely adore it.
Well, I tell you what, you're definitely getting enough omega 3 in your body every day. I mean, fish oil, very, very, very healthy. One thing I'd love to ask you about, actually, speaking of the benefits, because this is one of my favorite things about being single. Again, I think it's totally underrated, is the lack of drama. It's a joy. And when I look back over my life and all of my relationships, and I'm not saying that it wasn't, 50% to do with me as well, probably more, but my God, isn't it wonderful to live a drama-free life? What would you say to that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I look at, what other friends go through with their relationships. I read about people's relationships in the media and I go, bloody hell, I'm so happy I don't have to deal with any of that shit.
I know. This is the thing. It's the kind of peace and it's the emotional stability, isn't it? It's
Mm.
just, it's no, do you find that you know where you are when you're not in a relationship? You just sort of, emotionally where you are. Like, my mood is so much more stable when I'm single than when I'm in a
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, there's no insecurity. There's no worrying about what the other person is thinking, whether they're enjoying whatever you're doing, etc., etc. Yeah, no, I mean, I bloody love it.